Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we're doing another figure comparison. Today we're doing a figure comparison between two very similar Godzillas, but also very different. Pretty much speaking from the same company, same line, technically speaking, the same line. The MonsterVerse Godzillas, which here in this corner we have the pre-evolved Godzilla with Heat Ray. And this one, we have the Battle Roar Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Kong. This one's from Godzilla Kong the New Empire. I also just want to say, first and foremost, before we start, yes, I am back producing my regular content because, unfortunately, I was gone for like a week and had to put out some compilations of some very, kind of like my most popular unboxings and reviews and such. But we've got things back on track now, so hopefully we can do some more figure comparisons. Ooh, you'll know I like those. So today, again, to reiterate, original Heat Ray Godzilla from the new movie and the Battle Roar Godzilla. I've already done a video comparing the original ones, so I thought why not do some more similar figures. Of course, here we have, again, I'm not comparing them to see which one's like the better figure. Again, I'm just kind of pointing out like their differences and all the similarities between the two. That's purely the point. So, with that being said, we're going to do another 7 categories: sculpt and paint, articulation, size, accessories, price, availability, and packaging. So let's go ahead and crack these guys open. Whoops, they're already open. First and foremost, when we take a look at the heads of both figures, it's abundantly clear that the head mold, it's same in the way that, like, it's the same base model, but, like, obviously changed to where it's, like, shifted up, because this guy's literally just a almost like a reissue, but also like a remold, retooling of the original Heat Ray Godzilla. Because he's all in jet black and he has the signature kind of like black eyes, pink and white paint for the mouth. Sorry about that, Mr. Goji. And has like pretty much a little bit more better eye application this time around. And I'm glad that they tightened it. However, they got rid of the blue wash, which was really kind of a disappointment for me. However, here on the Battle Roar, we have a bit of like the similarity of like the teeth. I will say the teeth applications applied a bit better on this one than it was on the original. But the eye paint just leaves a lot to be desired. Because like, look at how far that is down. I get these things are mass produced, but come on. Should you really be even allowed to sell that on a store shelf? It honestly just looks so awkward and doesn't even look like what it should be. And he's looking straight up. Plus, he got like this very crummy looking dry brushing. And you know, that's also going to be like a common theme you see out through this review or comparison, is that this guy has no dry brushing. This guy has a ton of dry brushing, but it's just caked on. It's not even done very well at all. When we go down to the arms, you can definitely see what I mean, as the original Heat Ray Godzilla just completely ditches any of like semblance of the blue wash that was previously put on this guy like all those years ago with the original, versus the Battle Roar, where it actually did carry the blue wash pretty well, I'll say, like especially for like I know this was in the price, but for a $15 figure, like this was actually pretty well done. And the claw paint, just to point out, is mildly sloppy on this one, but then it gets really no better on this one either, so really take your pick. When we go down to the stomachs of both figures, the legs of both figures, again, pretty much the same thing. It is worth noting that, again, this guy has different leg molds compared to the original, being in a much more skinnier-like stance. I don't know how to really phrase it. Well, this one's like much more meatier and chunky, probably because it is the bigger figure. But proportionally is actually a bit of the same. You'll see what I mean in a minute. But as you can definitely tell, it keeps the paint of the claws the same, but the dry brushing is missing. Like, where is it on this one? I really feel like they should have gone the extra mile to like make it a little bit better, and you know, again, it just doesn't look correct as it should here. But then again, at least they didn't cake it on. Like, this just looks goopy. It doesn't look very well. The only place it's done really well is on the arms, and even kind of can say for the same of like a little bit more back here. It's just it's caked. Look at that. It's not even blended well at all. And speaking of the stomachs, really not much is different. Of course, we got this one, which is a lot more chunky and a bit of a bigger stance, and this one, which is more basic, 6-inch basic. Oh, crud. But you can definitely see there's some speakers and a little battery compartment, where here we'll have the secret compartment. I think you already know what it is. But again, detail-wise, they look fine. This one doesn't have the dry brushing, oddly enough, on the stomach, which I don't think the original ever did, but come on, please. Well, actually, no. If it was crumbly caked on like it was on the sides, I don't see why the front would be any better. Now, next, let's talk about the dorsal plates. I know I usually talk about the tails first, but let's go ahead and talk about the dorsal fins. The dorsal fins on the original Heat Ray Godzilla from GVK, not GXK, was translucent. This, and actually was actually fairly accurate. This keeps the translucent effect, but dulls it down in such a horrible way. Because, like, this looks more like the Showa era fins, not the 54 fins. The 54 fins were a bit more serrated, if that makes any sense. They were sharp-ended. They were sharp-pointed. But as the time went on, even including the Heisei era, they got more blunt. This is what it looks like it's trying to be. You could say, oh, it's made for kids. Well, of course it's made for kids, but why is this one in the same scale as this one, even though this is supposed to be a 7-inch figure, 8-inch figure? It's only 8 inches because it's looking straight up. You'll see what I'm talking about in a sec, but if they're able to make the fins like this, I don't see why they couldn't have made it for this. Then again, I am ranting about a 3-year-old figure turning 4 as of next year. So who am I to really say? But still, this thing is, the fins on the original, the Battle Roar is just garbage. This is why I never bothered to pick up any of them, because, like, I'll save actually my thoughts for afterward. While here, they're not translucent, but they feature the nice blue spray that's like almost like a fusion between the Radio Tower Godzilla and the Heat Ray Godzilla, where you can definitely tell that the spray is actually nicely sprayed on there and actually carries some merit to it. This is how the fin should have been on this one. No excuse, really. And next we're going to talk about the tails, which again are kind of similar in that they're both S poses but are different sculpts. This one is more of a different sculpt, while this one has a bit more of like an alligator-like whip. Like this goes curling in and almost looks like a pipe, versus this one where it looks more like a natural pose for Godzilla to be in. And I honestly have to say, again, the sculpt work is a lot better on this one than it is here. Well, both have that problem where they just kind of end. It just looks a lot better with this one because of its new mold and just doesn't look as soft. Because this, for being such a big and meaty rubbery tail, I expect a bit more detail. Because you see how smooth that is versus how detailed this is? Granted, it does get a little smooth here, but for the most part, it's pretty crisp detail. I like it. So overall, for sculpt and paint, I have to honestly say this one does a lot of things right and does them well enough. It's simplistic for $10. Well, again, we're not going over prices yet. It's fine. It's good. I like it. I like it a lot, in fact. I like the new spray that they've added so it's a bit more consistent with the tail and you don't have to worry about translucent plastic. And I also like the fixed eyes. The only thing I don't like is how they changed the dry brushing and they just flat out removed it. That's really my only gripe. The Battle Roar, well actually let's roll back to this one. Just for one additional comment. I do like the new parts they've added, like with the tail and the legs. And again, upgrading the mold a little bit, because even though it doesn't have the dry brushing anymore, it's still got some decent detailing to it. Versus the Battle Roar, where it completely has so much things wrong with it. Its pose is awkward, because what is this supposed to be? Godzilla looking straight up while his tail's curling in, okay. His legs are just way too chunky, and also it's like the figure wants to be in the 6-inch scale, but can't be because it's stuck in the 7 or 8-inch scale. Need proof? Shoulders, same exact length. The legs, same exact height. The bodies are nearly the same exact girth. And all this is a mold of the 6-inch Godzilla looking up. That's what they did for the mold. And also the tail like really has no reason to be this massive anyway. Cuz like this is how it should be. That's how it shouldn't be. That's why I never bothered to pick up any of the other the Battle Roar Godzillas, just because of or Battle Roar Godzilla and Kong figures, because this thing was just garbage, honestly. I'm sorry, but the molding on this thing and the dry brushing is just horrible. So, but yeah, that's pretty much the rundown.